Well, hi, thanks for talking to me. Appreciate it. Why don't you tell me a bit about sort of the character you play?
Yeah, so I play Petey. He's the son of Hal, played by Theo James. When we first see him in the film, he's seeing his dad for the first time in about a year. And him and his dad are sort of estranged. I think Petey really resents his dad, and his dad wants to avoid the guilt that he feels. And what Petey does is he sort of has a difficult conversation and forces Hal to have that uncomfortable conversation, which is, it can be funny at times, especially in the context of the film. Yeah.
What was it about it that made you want to be a part of it?
Um, I really loved Oz's sense of humor. When I first read the film, a lot of the deaths were sort of laced with this like absurdism and this humor that I didn't really find in anything else. So it was really a dream for me to work on this because I've always wanted to work on something that had that sort of quality that didn't take itself too seriously.
Talk about
Yeah.
working with Theo. I'm assuming most of your scenes are with him, or at least a lot of your scenes are with him.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, so usually when I get on set, the first thing I try to do is sort of like gauge with other actors like method or like processes because I don't want to like, you know, interrupt them and them to get angry at me or maybe, mess with their process and them not to be able to them not able to be fully themselves as an actor. And so when I first got on set, I sort of saw his demeanor change between his characters. And so I thought he was like this really like hardcore like method actor. And so for a little while I was a little obtuse around him because I didn't want to mess with his world. And then randomly one day during lunch, I think he started talking to me about like martial arts and like taekwondo and if I was interested in like Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And so, yeah, he was a really down to earth guy. I was honestly blown away by how easily he was able to go between fully immersed in the scene and just being a really normal, down to earth guy. Yeah.
Now, it seems like you're still fairly new to this, I guess, is the best way to say. I mean, you've been in some things, but did you learn like from him as an actor? I don't know, what did you take away from it, I guess?
I think I definitely learned to not take myself too seriously. Um, he's, a really talented actor. We talked a lot, shared a lot of things with each other, and he's a really passionate guy, but he doesn't put all of his eggs in one basket per se. He doesn't, you know, um, he's not too self-critical. And I sort of realized that within myself, I'm um, you know, sacrificing a part of myself to be this thing or, to show up to this role. And he sort of taught me that you can do that while also keeping that part of yourself without having to let that go. And so yeah.
That makes sense. Now, for Petey, what did you have the easiest time and the hardest time connecting with, like character wise?
Um, Petey's a really complex character. Um, Petey's sort of unique in this film because a lot of the adults around him um are sort of repressed and they don't face, their problems in a healthy way. And so Petey um, points out those problems and really has the hard talks and brings up, the issues that the adults and, people around him don't want to talk about. Um, and so I really love that quality about him. So that was probably the biggest part that I connected with for sure.
Okay, did you have any challenges with anything?
Yeah. Um, There was this one scene, the final scene of the film. Um, this is shot on PD and Hal, and they're reacting to this man on a horse. It's a pale rider, and they're shooting through the windshield, and it started raining like really heavily, and they couldn't see our faces through the windshields. They were trying to wipe it down with paper towel, and so they started setting up all these tarps, and then the wind started blowing, and rain was still getting on the windshield. And so the end of the things, it looked like a scrapyard, like there was like 10 tarps in different angles, all surrounding the car. Um, so that one took us a little while. The crew was really awesome and cooperative and efficient. Yeah.
Right. Did you, I don't know if you worked with any of the blood effects or not. I don't know if you could even tell me if you did, but did you kind of work with that type of thing? Are you allowed to say?
Yeah, actually, I was really surprised on this film. There was a lot more on-set special effects than I thought there was going to be. Um, the SFX department did a really good job on this film. Um, there's a lot of really detailed, like dead body mannequins walking around set, and packets of gore. It was a little unnerving sometimes walking around on set because for all you know, you could turn a corner and there would be like a dead body with like holes in it, or like a melted face or something. But yeah, there was a lot of on-set effects, and it was really cool to see. Yeah,
That's what I was gonna say. You said it's unnerving. Did any of it really freak you out then, or is it? I mean, I know
yeah,
it's
yeah,
not
dude.
real, but
I'm a scaredy cat, man. I've got a weak stomach. It's like my dad. And so it was a little hard for me, but I think PD's got a stronger stomach than I do, so I just focused on that.
I take it then you're not necessarily a horror person outside of acting.
Uh, well, for a long time I wasn't actually. For growing up, I had a childhood friend, and we watched these Goosebumps episodes with him. And there was this one where this ventriloquist doll comes to life named Slappy, and for some reason, Slappy stuck around with me for like a decade. I was like paranoid everywhere. I couldn't enter dark rooms. I couldn't sleep at night because I thought he was gonna come up the elevator to kill me. Um, so for a long time, I avoided horror for a lot of my childhood. Um, and to be honest, I sort of just got over him recently. Um,
That's okay. I
but
was gonna say I'm like that too. So
no, yeah, I get
you
that.
totally get that. What type of thing as you when you watch are you into then? Like what do you generally or do you gravitate towards? Just as a viewer.
I I really gravitated towards the humor specifically in this film. Um, when I first started reading it, I thought it was going to be like a typical like haunted, childhood toy or like doll like esque movie. And I really loved how it didn't take itself seriously. A lot of its deaths were laced with humor, and there's this absurdity to it that I really really loved. Um, Oz is a really funny guy, and I think this film is really different and weird, quirky, and fun.
Yeah, it sounds very, like good dark humor. I'm looking
Oh yeah,
forward to it.
yeah. Oz is a dark humorous. Yeah.
So, outside of this, do you have like what's your dream role? Something that after this you would just love to get to be a part of, either a specific role, type of role, that type of thing.
Um, probably um probably to work with Oz again, to be honest. Um, Oz really set the bar high as a director and a writer. Um, yeah, I guess just you know, working on something else like this. I loved Oz's mix of horror and comedy. I found it really, really compelling and unique in that. And yeah, yeah.
I did want
Um,
to ask you, but talk a bit about working on Wonka because that is definitely something that I'm sure was unique experience as well. Oh, sorry.
yeah, yeah. Working on Wonka was really fun too. Paul King, he's a really positive guy. Really artistically open. Um, yeah, I really enjoyed working on Wonka. Um, though I was a lot younger, so there are some parts of it I don't remember too well, to be honest with you.
How do you feel then now that you say that I'm trying to think the right way to ask this, changed since then? Like, what do you think you've learned since you've been there that you've taken and I guess brought to this now that you've been around it a while? Been around acting a while, I mean, since you've been doing it a
Yeah,
while.
I think I used to think that like acting was this like magical thing that only certain people could do, and that I couldn't, fully dial in or like show up as much as other people. But over time, I've kind of realized that like every single actor out there that I might think is good or you might love has their own entirely different process to acting. And so I realized that there's a way for acting for everybody, whether you think you're, artistically available or aren't, you know. You just have to be you can't be self-critical of yourself, and you have to accept yourself for who you are and whatever shows up. Yeah.
You make me wonder because you talk about being self-critical. Are you somebody who watches yourself back, like as you're filming in that? I know some people like to and some people don't. So I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Which side do you fall on?
Um, I used to a lot more, but I've over time sort of thought that I really um I do it for some self tips, like if Oz or like a director thinks a scene isn't working, or if like he isn't getting what he wants, he'll show me the take and I'll be like, yeah, I can see that. So sometimes it's helpful to like put yourself outside your body so you can see it as a viewer and if it works. But overall, I think I just typically try to avoid it just because I personally hate watching myself. But
Yeah, yeah, people are different. I just was curious. Do you have anything else you're currently working on or just promoting this?
um, I've been writing a couple. I've started writing recently.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm working on some short stories. Um, but for work-wise, no, there's nothing new so far. But I would love to, work on possibly a monkey sequel. I heard something about the writers talking about that. But that's just a possibility. I'm not really sure.
Well, it sounds like a lot of fun. I'll have to
Yeah,
look forward to seeing the show too. So
yeah,
that's
awesome.
awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much. I
All right.
appreciate it and
Thank you so
have a,
much.
have a good rest of your day.
All right, you too. All right.